Hi everyone, welcome. This is Adi from Nixel AI, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to create your automated chatbot system and integrate it with your existing web application or like a new application. So today we are going to be leveraging on OpenAI's API, turbo models, and also we're going to be using Python, the famous Python framework known as Flask, to communicate between the APIs, and also we're going to use HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript to design the front end website. At the end of this video, you'll be able to create a live chatbot system from scratch, leveraging on OpenAI's model, like I said. So we're going to do a bit of prompting, we're going to do a bit of API calls, and we're also going to do a bit of programming. So the first thing you want to do is you want to log on to platform.openai.com and head down to the doc section. Yeah, I've seen here. So in the doc section, there's an overview of what we need to know about like the models, what is the latest model, what you can explore, how you can build an assistant. You know, there's a lot here. So it's just like the developer's environment where you kind of pick the choose, and it's so detailed, and they've done like a proper breakdown of how to, integrate your service into your application. But in this case of the tutorial, I'll be using the Python environment the Python programming language to, explain what I'm talking about here. So there's a full breakdown of what you need to do and how you need to get started with, communicating with the API and the Python environment, also setting up your virtual environment, installing your OpenAI Python library. So the first thing you need to install a Python library. I've already installed my Python library, but in case you've not, you should head on to this website here where you can download the package and install. So right here, just gonna type, this is how you know if you've got Python installed in your system. So I'm currently running Python 3, and I just press enter and see if it's there. So we can see I've got Python 3.11.8 on my system, which is fantastic for this development. And it says here that the minimum version of Python that I can use has to be 3.7.1. So I've got 3.11.1, which is I think the latest version of Python at this time of recording. Next, you want to head down to your software stack application, something like XAMPP or WAMP, where you're going to host all your files together. So, and I'm using XAMPP for this case, and I'm going to head down to the HTTP docs. Yeah, this is the folder that's going to host all the files we're going to be working with today. In your XAMPP folder, locate the htdocs folder and create a new folder with whatever name you want to name. In my case, I'm going to be using Nixel bots, and this is the folder that's going to house all the applications we're going to use in the course of the tutorial today. As you can see right now, it's empty and it doesn't have any folder or application yet. Alongside, we're going to be running some terminal commands to load up some files here, and you're gonna see it as this happens in real time. So stay glued, guys. The next step we want to do is create a virtual environment. It's actually optional, but it's a good practice to create a virtual Python environment before you install your OpenAI Python library. This is a good form of programming to make sure that different packages are not conflicting with each other. And there's a detailed step on how you can do this. All we need to do is just copy and paste some of these codes into the terminal section, as you can see here, to run this effectively. So we're going to do the first one, which is to create the Python environment. We'll copy this and paste it there. So as you can see, Python is not found here, but in this case, I'm using Python 3. The system doesn't recognize Python, so I'm going to take it back and click and write Python 3, and that should fit there. So we can see that worked. Right now, we are creating an environment to house the Python codes and all. So the next thing we want to do is you need to activate it. So what we need to do right now, I'm using Mac OS. So all I need to do right now is to activate the environment. To activate the environment, I'll copy this one here, paste it, and boom. So if you've done it correctly, you should see this on the side, the OpenAI -env. This is like the OpenAI environment has successfully been installed. So it's a good practice to always have your environment created before you run your script. Right now we are in the OpenAI environment, as you can see, and also a folder has automatically been added into the folder that we created. It's called the OpenAI env. And if you go to the folder we created, you can see OpenAI environment folder has been added to the section as well. So the next step we want to do right now is to set up your API key. So to create your API, you'd have to go down to the dashboard section and click on API keys. Then you create a new secret key. So depends on what you want to create the key for. If it's for you or a service account, you can design it and create a secret key. So once you create a secret key, there is gonna pop up here. Make sure to copy your API key, as you wouldn't be able to copy it or see it anymore if you didn't copy it. So you have to be careful. It's a really private information, and you wouldn't want to joke with it. So you have to make sure that at all times it is protected. So what you're gonna do next is you head off to the doc section and put in this line of code in the terminal. So what you want to do right now is to place in the code that you copied from the platform, the openai.com, and you replace this part of the code with your secret key or your API. Once that's done, you overwrite and you are back in the environment like you never left. Once your secret key has been set up in the environment, you want to confirm if the secret key is active. So you want to write echo OpenAI _ API _ key to see if you properly did that. So if you've done it correctly, you should get the API back. After the configuration of your API, what we need to do next is to set up the agent that's going to communicate with OpenAI and your software. So we call this assistant or agent. So an assistant or agent is a predefined software trained on your own data to carry out specific tasks. It's a predefined language model that has been trained on your data to carry out specific tasks. So creating those agents or assistants, what we need to do right now is to head down to the dashboard section. And head down to the assistant section. So this is where we'll be creating the assistants. So I'm going to create an assistant called Nixel Chatbot. So basically what we need to do next is to add the prompt. So this is a very crucial part of your model design. You have to write the best prompt. So I'm going to be writing the prompt on the bot and setting the requirements of what I needed to do. Yes guys, so I have written a sort of brief prompt to my chatbot we'll be creating today, and I'm going to head on to select the model. I'm currently using 4.0 as this is the latest version at the time of recording. Beautiful feature, and yeah, big up to OpenAI for this upgrade. It's got vision, it's got text, it's got a lot of integrations on it. We can decide to add the file search to it too. That's like you upload a file to give more detail to your prompt, more information, more like a database. You can add like your code interpreter if you run codes, or if you want to execute codes. You can add more functions. You can connect to the internet, you can connect to YouTube, you can connect to a lot of other APIs, back and forth. Yeah, so other than that, we then go and test in the playground. So this is what the playground looks like. This is where you would have to test your assistant and see if it's working. So we're just going to write some few prompts here, queries to run in this environment. Like I said, we will not be building everything on this environment. This is just a test. This is like a playground where you test your prompt and see everything is working. We are integrating on a live environment. So we're just going to write a few prompts to see if you've written the code properly. So we're going to ask, who are you? I mean, that's a bit rude, but yeah. So he says, I'm, Nixel AI chatbot designed to assist with inquiries related to Nixel. So this is beautiful. We have the agent answering to our specific data. So right now we want to head down to showing you the log area. So this is what happens in the log area. First, it creates a thread. The thread houses all the messages and all other messages. So imagine a thread as a container for the messages. So we have a thread created, then we would add messages to it. So whatever message I'm going to be writing into this is going to be added to this thread. So what we want to do next is to create a chat interface that's going to depict the playground. I mean, like a live scenario where you have your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, like a live website that has a chatbot system integrated. So for the course of this tutorial, I'm just going to be creating a quick chat interface to depict the playground where users can send message and then communicate with the API back and forth. But before that, I'm going to design the front end so we can see that. Let's go. We are creating the front end application. So what we need to do is create a new file here and name it index.html. We're going to create another file, name it style. The CSS is going to handle the styling, and we're going to create one more last file, which is script.js. So this is the index is going to house the HTML, this is going to house the JavaScript, and this is also going to house the styling. So we're going to write the HTML codes. So you're going to proceed to writing the CSS. So we're going to do body slash HTML. Then we then head down to the script section. Here we have a function that handles the send message. So we are going to be writing a function in the script section that's going to handle that. So right now we have the display message function to show the message interface on the front end, and we also have the send message function that carries out the sending and passing it through my local host on the particular port 5000. I'm going to be defining this port in my Flask environment. This is the port in which the API is going to use to communicate with this application. So let's see what it looks like on the front end too. To see what this looks like on the front end, you would have to go to the browser and run the application on the local host and type in Nextbot. So fantastic, we have like a chat interface. So let's go ahead and test it and see what it does. Hello. Consent. Yes, so this takes in the chat interface. As you can see, hello, hi. Ideally, when we are done with this, it's going to give us an assistant reply, but right now we do not have the assistant connected. Just in a while we'll do that. So as you can see, this is what the interface is going to look like to the front end users. So right now we've created a chat interface based off the script we have on the side, and as you can see, it's not currently responding. So we're gonna create another file here known as app. We're gonna create a Python file known as app.ui. So this is where we're going to be doing the server-side connection and the backend connection. We're going to be using Flask, like I said earlier on. So this is going to act as the intermediary between the front-end application and OpenAI. So we're going to write the OpenAI source code. We're going to connect the server on port 5000, as you can see on the script side. And we are also going to test live and get live results. So once this is refreshed, the message gets cleared on the system. Now we want to test the API connections and ensure everything is working before we synchronize. So we want to head back to the doc section and run this API request to see if the codes are running properly. So what we're going to do now is to copy this and paste it here, save it, head down to your terminal section and write Python 3 app.py. So this is giving us a response, meaning that we are already communicating with the API. So one thing I want to talk about in the configuration process that I skipped is for us to install the OpenAI Python library. So I've done that already on my library, but before testing your code you need to install it. Sometimes it upgrades the OpenAI version, so we could do that again. So let me run you through. Copy this here, come there, paste it, then he said already that every requirement has been satisfied, but if you've not done this, it's going to show you like a breakdown. So we can go ahead and clear this and then run our code again to see what works. So this is just a simple prompt using GPT 3.5 Turbo to test. So if this is giving you a response, you know we are doing the right thing. Also, this API costs money to run, so you need to fund your account. As we can see here, there's a price for usage, and yes, so apparently you go to the pricing section and check the cost, but it doesn't really cost that much. As you can see, all we've done today is about 0.06, and the model I'm currently using 4.40 as a lesser price value. So we are going to install the Flask. We're going to install Flask framework, which is a popular Python framework. So we can do that you writing pip install Flask. You can see it's downloading every package, and yeah, we have successfully installed Flask in this environment. Remember, we are in the OpenAI environment, so we install Flask there. So what we want to do next is to import certain libraries. So the first library we would import in this case is OS, which is operating system. We would import time to track the log time and response time from the log, and would also import requests from Flask, also from Flask, import Flask request, and data on the file. This is the format in which data is going to be passed on from the API. Next, we want to do is want to import the cause. This is known as cross-origin resource sharing. This allows your JavaScript to communicate with your server, that's the Flask environment. So what we do is to from Flask underscore CORS import CORS. So most cases would have to keep install Flask cause Israel. Okay, install, yeah, I meant install, that's a double L. So we'll wait for it to install the package, and then it's installed. So we'll clear the screen. Also, one last import to be import OpenAI. So from OpenAI import OpenAI. Yeah, I guess install OpenAI. I should cut down here. So we've imported the necessary libraries that we'll be using for the configuration today. We are then going to create a new Flask application. Next, we want to get the secret key, the OpenAI key from the environment. So in doing that, we would declare a variable client and assign it to OpenAI. Then we want to create a thread ID to gather all messages together in one go. So right now we'll set the thread ID to none. As this, we store the thread ID globally. So the thread ID is just to keep all messages together. So we need to make sure that the AI or the system is aware of the previous message. So it's not like attributing different response. So it's aware of the previous message, and this can be done in keeping them together in a thread. So we have to get a thread that's going to compile all the messages together. If not, it's going to just be attributing per response. So we want it to learn from the previous message, have an idea of the previous message, and then give us a response. Just basically how the ChatGPT works. So we need a thread ID. So what we do next right now is to create an endpoint that undo the post request from the front end, and also create a function in Python to undo the request. We are also going to define the global thread ID. What I'm doing next is to pass the data in a JSON file and make sure that we return a response that says empty message received when an empty message is passed into the system. Next, we want to import the assistant ID we created from OpenAI. Right here, we are going to paste in the ID of the assistant. So you can find the ID of the assistant in the dashboard section, and the assistant section you see the ID of the description here. You can either click on it here or take it. This is the assistant ID created. Then from that we then go on to creating the thread. So right now we have the thread created. The thread ID created this is the API from OpenAI for your thread creation, and the message is right now the role is the user, and the content is coming directly from the front end as user message. The user message is being passed here. So whatever content we write on the front end here, we pass it into the thread ID, and it's stored as the message. So what I want to do right now is to make a comment. So we have a neatly arranged code. So this is the thread creation for new messages. Once the thread is created, we want to add a message to the thread. So right now we've created a message that will be added into the thread. Once we've created the thread and we've created the message, what we want to do next is to add a run prompt to it. So the run is going to execute the code. So we are going to add the next line of code here. I have created the run thread and using the client vector the threads.run API to create this, and also set a kind of delay, a 1 second delay whilst it's trying to print a new status. So what happens is that when the API call is made, it has to return a completed status once it's done, and it keeps trying this after every 1 second. After completely setting up the run API, what we want to do next is to set up to get the last message from the thread. That's going to be the response from the assistant. So once we've properly configured the API and the integrations, what we need to do next is to make sure that if the API doesn't give us a value, or if the API is not connecting properly, it should display an error. Finally, we want to create a dedicated port connection for the backend and front end. So here we are creating a communication between port 5000 and whilst we are creating the script, the JavaScript I mentioned, the Java. Right now guys, we want to test the software we just created from scratch. So what we're going to do is to write Python 3. If you're running Python 3, then the name of your Python file, that is app.py in my case, and let's see what it does from there. Brilliant. So if you're getting this prompt or this message back from the terminal, that means everything worked fine, and we can then test the communication between the OpenAI's API and the front end, as you can see here. So what we're going to do is just to ask simple questions. Hello, who are you? You can see on the terminal it's showing that the run ID is created and the thread is created. The message has been appended to the thread. So here we have the run completed message here, and then it says, hello, I'm Nixel AI chatbot, here to assist you with inquiries about Nixel wide range of AI automation service and solution. This is brilliant, as we have already trained the model on our own specific data, so we could we can continue the conversation because this is actually in a thread. Like, I created a thread to house all these messages together to create a flow. So let's ask more questions. I will like to book an appointment. That's the P. That's fine. Let's see what it says. So create again, and then brilliant. So I'm happy to book an appointment with our CEO, Adini. Could you please provide me? So the prompt and messages can keep going on from there. I would like to get AI services on my web applications. Let's see what it says then. Great, better assist you. We have trained the data already, so this is what we are getting. You all can benefit from this beautiful system and incorporate this into your system. All you need to do is like, share, and comment automations in the comment below, and I'll send you a link where you can download this for free and start integrating into your system, or servicing your own clients as well. And if you're a business owner too and you like this to be on your system, I and my team can create a more robust chat system and other integrations in AI. Just click on the link below and book a one-on-one session with me where we would have a full in-depth of what you need on your system.